Trump is getting roasted for his personal style, which is somewhere between Liberace and Branson, Missouri. In other words, tacky.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Okay, you see me after class.
But it's not just children who can see that Trump's makeover is as ugly as he is. It's MAGA too. This is one of Trump's former lawyers and a recipient of his recent round of corrupt pardons. And yet, even someone who owes him their literal freedom isn't able to hold her tongue when looking at this monstrosity. Be sure to subscribe to Really American and let me introduce you to Jenna Ellis, also known as MAGA Blondie number 465. She just received a presidential pardon along with MAGA psycho Sidney Powell and America's creepy uncle Rudy Giuliani. But despite getting that pardon just a couple of days ago, this woman was unafraid to rip the band-aid off for MAGA. In response to pictures of the new golden decor that Trump disgraced the White House with, she said this: "I personally hate this." Her and everybody else in America. But this simple statement was enough to send MAGA into meltdown mode. This user says, "He just pardoned you, B-word. Wow, if I was him, I would not do it to a backstabber like you." Normal Garbage, which is a very apt username, says, "Well, you're negative about nearly everything, so expected and boring from you." And this user says, "No one cares if it makes Trump happy, then it's good. He's sacrificed much." Like, even MAGA knows that he's just doing this to placate himself, and it looks fucking horrible. As this guy said, it is really tacky, right? A whorehouse looks fancier. But I guess MAGA is the kind of disease that erodes not only your sense of humanity, but also your sense of style. Because how could anyone with a functioning cornea like this golden garbage? The longer that we let Trump stay in the White House, the more he surrounds himself with the universal symbol of greed and ego, gold. And it all looks like shit. The BBC compiled a transition here where you can see what a normal White House looks like. You know, clean, professional, a bit boring. Pretty much what a government building should look like. And now it looks like this. I mean, it's turned into Smaug's wet dream. He has styled the office into what Joe Dirt thinks a rich person's decorations look like. He's so proud of this horrible little makeover, too. He's taking every chance he can to brag about it. Like last night when he interviewed with Laura Ingraham, and she pointed out that these things look suspiciously like they're from Home Depot.
The one thing with gold,
why not
you
silver?
You can't imitate gold, real gold. There's no paint that imitates gold.
So these aren't like from Home Depot or something?
No, this is not Home Depot stuff.
No, not stuff you buy.
This is not Home Depot.
Curious. He was sure to make sure everybody knew that those wall decorations weren't from Home Depot, even though they look exactly like these ones from Home Depot. Trump is so cheap, I bet when he found out that he was going to have to pay for these decorations himself, he just told them to run out and get the closest thing they could find to Putin's sex dungeon.
Take a look at this, fellas. You want to see detail. So, like this sign. Most people would just do a sign, they paint it on the wall. So that's half-inch thick bronze, carved by a very talented person. And it's brass, it's pure brass. It's half-inch thick brass. And you can't just do that. That's, you know, you look at that, that's quality, right? And then we start with George Washington and we go down to Trump. Pretty cool, right?
But on a serious note, it's so clear that while he continues to adorn the White House with golden puke, us regular folks are suffering greatly as Trump's administration drives the economy to complete collapse. With Trump's latest golden makeover and building the ballroom, we have officially entered the second Gilded Age, where Trump literally covers the highest office in the land with a thin veneer of gold, while underneath, the working class are facing a crisis. This article was penned by Ross Ross Barkan, a writer for the New York Times, amongst other papers, and it points out the clear writing on the wall that last week's elections are proof that the American people are tired of Trump's status quo, which is a bit like living in a circus. Barkan writes, Trump is unpopular, with most polls showing a significant dip since the start of the year. During his first term as president and again as a candidate over the last several years, he was a trusted voice on the economy because he was a businessman who once presided, through luck, over an era of low inflation. That economic edge is now gone. And I think most people, regardless of political leaning, feel the way that prices continue to rise and wages continue to stagnate. This divide between the way that Trump lives his life and the way that MAGA lives theirs is one of the biggest political weapons in the Democratic arsenal, which makes it even more frustrating that they just completely gave it away with this recent cave-in vote in the Senate. As this user, John Wakefield Reforged, said, Dems really just signed away having the optics of Trump doing this while nobody was getting food stamps. And that is exactly right. It's frustrating to see the Democrats give up this leverage. Not only was the health care of millions of people at risk, but Trump threw SNAP in there as if he wasn't playing with political dynamite. And this was an opportunity to watch Donald Trump blow up all the goodwill that he had with his base. But now the healthcare of millions of people is doomed to be stripped away, never to return, now that the Democrats, led by Bernie Sanders' evil twin here, Angus King, gave into the Republicans' demands for no concessions. The 8 Democrats who caved are saying that this is a victory because now at least there's a chance at a vote.
So this was a victory for the American people. And again, it's just a practical reality that the shutdown, which was becoming more and more harmful, was not achieving its goal of somehow bringing pressure on the Republicans to solve the ACA problem. Now we have a path forward. No guarantees, but it's a lot more than we had this morning.
No, it's not. No, it's not, Angus. It's less than what you had this morning. And who cares if you have the promise of a vote in the Senate that completely ignores the fact that we just gave up a much bigger chance in the form of a government shutdown. I mean, maybe the most visible representation of a dysfunctional administration possible. And now, instead of capitalizing on that, instead we're trading all this leverage for a promise of a vote that's only in the Senate, where it's destined to fail. But even if it doesn't, it would have the same chance of Trump signing it as a birthday card to Don Jr. And Lord knows, Trump will put his signature on anything. But he's not going to sign whatever bill the Senate votes on in December. I mean, the truth is, they caved for nothing. The only result of this is an electorate who are left with no other option but to think that they were lied to by the Democrats in order to win an election last week. And as much as I would like for that not to be true, I'm just not seeing any other explanation from the party that would explain why the fuck would they do this. Because despite the government shutdown being painful for millions of Americans, there are millions more who are now at risk. And if you say, like Angus King does, that the Republicans don't care how much pain they're causing, they don't care about hurting people, well then what makes you think they'll give a shit when you vote on this later? Because if you admit that the Republicans don't care about hurting people, then why aren't we having this fight now when the government shutdown is being blamed on the Republicans? Why are we kicking the can down the road in order for them to prove that they still don't care about people later? It is utter madness, and if you're upset, like I am, I think you are right to be pissed off. I think it is time that we ask ourselves, are our leaders capable of leadership? Or are they simply playing a role? Be sure to subscribe to Really American for more news that MAGA does not want you to know. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.